So I want to make this video to offer a response and a bit of a different viewpoint to what I've seen on YouTube surrounding Trench Crusade. Before anything else, I suppose I should start by saying that I've got no skin in the game. I'm not affiliated to Trench Crusade or anything like that. I'm just a guy who plays war games, and I've been playing war games now for about 30 years. Started with, like a lot of us, with 40k. Started right at the tail end of 2nd edition, which obviously I was a child and didn't really know how to play it, but I was completely absorbed by the lore, by the imagery, by the miniatures, and that's something that as time went by, I continued to play wargaming, different games, and I kind of lost a lot of that sort of, as you do, you lose that sort of childhood spark, that excitement. And that's something that when Trench Crusade was first shown, when I first saw the art by Mike Francina and others, something in me sort of reawakened it, like reactivated. It was like that. It was like being a kid again, because suddenly I was getting absorbed into the lore in a way that I haven't done with other games that I've played in, say, the last 10 years. Actually really enjoying and appreciating the art, as opposed to just skimming it as I go past the rule book to look at something else. I think a lot of us do that because especially as you get older, you just kind of want to get to the rules, learn the game, and then go and play the game. Whereas with Trench Crusade, it was the first time in a long time that I really felt like I was getting absorbed in pretty much every facet, and it really gave me that sort of impetus and inspiration to want a hobby again. So I backed the first Kickstarter, I backed for every faction, and I went about that. I think they were delivered last Christmas time, and I went about that sort of Christmas holiday, printing and painting every warband, so that I would be able to demo it when the gaming clubs got back together in the new year. So I was really excited. So that inside, like I say, I'm just a random guy. I've seen a couple of videos, I've read a lot of comments, and I felt like there was a bit of a perspective missing from the conversation, and that I suspect a lot of other people have similar opinions, even if they're not particularly motivated to speak up. So this video is just me simply putting my thoughts out there. That's all it is. So from what I've seen, a lot of the discussion around Trench Crusade has become very one-sided on YouTube. And that, of course, it could be my algorithm showing me a particular side. Maybe I've clicked on one too many negative videos, or I'm not sure. But I'm only being shown one type of response, and I haven't seen many people articulate the position that I'm about to lay out on YouTube. I have seen these kind of discussions in, say, Discord or on Facebook. And it's not that I think my opinion is unique. I think it's fairly common, to be honest. I just don't think it's particularly loud. I think one of the biggest things that we can all overlook is sometimes the reality of what happened on Kickstarter in terms of the funding goal. So you've got a funding goal, and then you've got a project like this that vastly exceeds that funding goal. Obviously, an expectation was completely shattered. I mean, I don't believe for a second that the team launched this campaign thinking, oh yeah, we're making millions and millions of pounds out of this. It's not a game that has been made, or a world that has been made, from my opinion anyway, that seems as if it's been made to hit demographics in order to catch a wide range of people. I think it was just, from the sounds of it, a group of guys that looked at some art and thought, do you know what, this is really cool. What about this? What about that? And they let their imaginations run away with them, and before they knew it, they sort of started to develop this level of lore, this sort of grimdark world. And I think, obviously, with the runaway success of the Kickstarter, it also creates runaway problems. You know, the fact that the 3D printing partner that they've picked has now got to fulfill so many people that they probably never were equipped to deal with, because they never expected that they would balloon to a project or the funding goal of this size. They never would have probably imagined in their wildest dreams that they would receive over 3 million, especially for something they've created, which I again don't believe it was created for everyone. I think it was something that they made and created with a bit of love and excitement for themselves mostly, and it just so happens that it tickled a lot of us and we all wanted to jump on board too. So the reason for me, ultimately, as I sort of alluded to before, for recording this video is because I saw Janovich's video. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, so apologies there. Although I didn't share a lot of his opinions that he presented in that video, what I really appreciated about that video was that he didn't use, as so many have, a political viewpoint to then launch into why he didn't like something, or there was a problem here or there was a problem there. He was able to take politics and cut that straight out, which I think is a good thing. I don't think that politics needs to be injected into everything. And he provided some really clear arguments as to why he was unhappy, and some evidence as to what he felt was wrong. And some of that I agree with. For example, the STLs and having voids in the STLs. I think it is a problem. Clearly, he's been able to demonstrate that there were voids. Now, me, myself, I've printed every miniature that they released during the Kickstarter, and I got those files at launch, so they were excitedly downloaded by me the second they went up on my mini factory. I printed them, I cured them, I printed them in Sunlu ABS resin, so cheap resin. I again cured them, undercoated them, painted them. They sit on my shelf. They sit in my really useful boxes ready to go to club. They've been sat there and been done for a year, and I have not had any issues so far with models exploding or leaking or anything like this. Now, I have had that from other STL manufacturers, not for Trench Crusade specifically, but just other STL designers over the time that I've been 3D printing, but it has not happened yet with the miniatures from Trench Crusade. So when I heard about his concerns, when I watched the video, again, I agree with the fact that in a perfect world, they should be fixed. However, I was thinking maybe that it was a bit hyperbolic, because I don't know anyone who's had exploding miniatures. I've got a mental image of the scene in Scanners where the guy's head explodes, but in my head it's just exploding with resin. But I haven't heard of anything like that, and it certainly hasn't happened to me. So I'm curious to see whether or not it will happen. Maybe I've just been lucky. Maybe other people really have experienced it. Maybe it's widespread, but I don't see it being widespread. The wargaming community I'm part of, a lot of people are in the same boat as me. They got excited, they printed their miniatures very early doors, and not one of us has had an issue out of maybe 8 or 9 of us with exploding or leaking miniatures. So I do think that it was a bit hyperbole there, and I think that's something to take into consideration. So if obviously I do have some sort of catastrophe, maybe tomorrow my miniatures start to leak then I will update this, because I think it is important to put that information out there as well. Just as I think it's important to actually put out that they are okay at the moment. So yeah, there's that side of it. And in terms of the physical delivery, now I wasn't a physical backer, as I've just said. I was an STL backer, but I have, over the last couple of what's it been now, months, seen people's miniatures rolling in from the 3D printing partner that Trench Crusade use, and some of them look really, really shit. You know, like, they look like they haven't been washed in alcohol. They look like they haven't been cured. You know, some of them look really goopy and slimy. Some people have had missing parts, which is not, I wouldn't say common within wargaming, but I've had missing parts from every company, from Games Workshop to Corvus Belli to Hawk War Games, or now TT Combat. You know, I've had a lot of missing parts over the years, so you come to expect that side of it. But what I was surprised about was the fact that the miniatures themselves, a lot of them, some people have got some really good ones, and some people have got some absolutely terrible ones. But that is that's the 3D printers or the third parties issue as an independent contractor, not Trench Crusade. And yes, Trench Crusade chose them, but I can't imagine for one second that, again, going back to the previous statement, that they knew that they were going to have to fulfill so many orders. Obviously, the 3D printing partners completely rushed off their feet, but also, I don't think they chose these people based on, these are the guys that will get the job done the cheapest. I think they chose people who they probably thought would do the best job to try to launch their game, because no one wants to be the company that has delivered a really shoddy product. You know, there are so many different disaster stories coming from Kickstarter because of many different reasons in wargaming, due to quality of miniatures, quality of rules, quality of anything. And I do think that they would have tried to avoid that. I don't put this down to malice or incompetence. I think it's just a mistake. I think it's just not being able to see just how much was going to be required from them. I mean, to expect them to predict millions in revenue and enormous fulfillment volume would require clairvoyance of the highest degree. I just don't think that's the case. So, yeah, in terms of the miniatures, I think it's easy to see that the 3D printing partner has let them down, whether that's through lack of care or just sheer volume. However, there is another side to all this that was brought up again in the Yanovich video, where the claims about supporting 3D printing going forwards from Trench Crusade was made. And yes, they did say that, and it was definitely part of the reason why I jumped on board, was the fact that I was going to be able to use my 3D printer to be able to print really, really nice miniatures at a fraction of the cost of what it would take to get miniatures from, say, Games Workshop or whatever else. So I was going to be able to afford to play this game. Cost, as time's gone by, and for all of us, I suppose, has become an even bigger factor in wargaming. And I certainly can't afford to wargame the way I did 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. The landscape has changed, and I do rely on my 3D printer a lot more to be able to stay in wargaming. So that was definitely something that attracted me to the game. But plans change, and I don't think, looking at it, if it was me, if I was running this company, I would have made the switch from STLs to plastic too. Number one, to avoid this 3D printing partner issue. They've teamed with Archon, so a company that now has got quite a lot of experience in plastic injection moulding. They're good at what they do. And it's clear because the new Prussian kit is very nice from the look of it. I haven't got one, but I have seen pictures and they look fantastic. But the real reason for switching to plastic is something that is important, really is important to talk about, which is piracy. Now, I think whenever you release STLs to the internet for people to consume, you have to expect a level of piracy, for sure. But speaking to different gaming groups, and I've been to a couple of narrative days, and a lot of people were quite happy to admit and quite happy to say, yeah, I downloaded these from someone, or I was sent them from a friend, or I got them through different means, not from my mini factory, but I didn't pay for them. And I wonder how wide scale that is. I do genuinely believe if the majority of people were buying the miniatures, they'd probably be less averse to continuing down the STL route. But when there's no way to control who downloads it or who uploads it to a different place once it's been uploaded to my mini factory, without those kinds of security measures, there's not a lot you can do. And there is, there is a lot of money on the table. I think whether or not you make something out of love, these people have dedicated a lot of time and a lot of effort into creating this miniatures line, this universe, this IP, and they're well within their right to protect it. So I totally understand why they have decided to go plastic. And again, you listening, you're probably sat there with your 3D printer too, I'm not sure. But there are a hell of a lot of people. For every one person that's got a 3D printer, there's probably 100 people that don't. There's probably 200, 300, 1,000 people that don't. People don't want them in the house because they smell, because they're awkward to set up, because you need the space. So releasing plastics is, I think, great because it means that more people actually get to enjoy it. And not only that, but my local gaming shop actually gets a cut. They get to make money off of the game that we're all playing in the store, as opposed to us all playing with miniatures that we've downloaded from the internet and printed, and people getting excited about the game and then also wanting in, and that store owner not being able to make any money off it. By rights, there's really no stores that should actually be letting us do that, because we are affecting their bottom line. We're taking table space with a product that they can't make money off. So I do welcome the plastics for that reason. I think it's important to talk about politics and community backlash in regards to this, because I think it gets a bit uncomfortable for some people. And I do think that a significant amount of the backlash towards Factory Fortress and Trench Crusade is little to do, or less to do, with the quality of the product and a lot to do with politics. And people have conflated views or political views, or the creators' political views, with the quality of the thing they've made. We see this everywhere, whether it's people vandalising Teslas because you dislike Elon Musk, or abandoning hobbies because of statements made by corporate entities. I think, for me, I'm going to say this, and I think it's important. It's something I try to have as a mindset, is you can disagree with someone's politics and still fairly assess their work and be honest about what you actually have. Like I say, and that's, again, is why I want to give credit to Yanovich, because his video wasn't politically driven. He was able to deliver a coherent argument based on what he believes are real deliverable issues. Like I say, I disagree with some of his conclusions, but I do respect the argument, and that's exactly how discourse should work. At the end of the day, guys, we vote with our wallets. But trying to galvanise the community against what started as a genuine passion project, I genuinely believe does not help anyone. Like, mistakes were made. Some responsibility lies with Trench Crusade. Some of it lies with their partners. Some of it with circumstance. I don't see malice. I don't see deception, and I don't see a justification for the level of hostility being thrown around. But again, you can't stop people from having an opinion, and I certainly wouldn't want to do that. And again, these are just my opinions, and I felt that they were worth putting out there. So if you made it to the end of this, I really appreciate it. If you think I was wrong, feel free to tell me. I'm not looking to create an echo chamber or anything like that. I'm not sure I'll make another video. I do like talking about Trench Crusade. I'd like to not talk about this kind of stuff. I'd like to talk about what I'm getting up to in the hobby, what excites me, what's coming out in terms of digital creators making things, and also the new plastic releases and all of that kind of stuff. I'd love to talk about it. So if you could tolerate my voice for this video, then, you know, maybe give me a like, let me know that you want a little bit more, and I can get something recorded. But thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate the time you've taken to give it a listen. Thank you.